Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky. I'm back with my plans and pans. Interesting week. Yesterday, the House of Representatives, all of the Democrats and 9 of the Republicans voted to hold Bannon in contempt of the Congress for absolutely ignoring and fighting against a subpoena because we want to know what he knew before and during the January 6th insurrection. Now, let me just be clear. Even though he thinks he is the most important person in the world, he's really a bit player in all of this. But nonetheless, you can't just say no to the Congress, and we wanted to establish our authority to make sure that that good old Steve has to respond to us. So yes, there were 9 Republicans, not including the leader of the Republicans in the House, Kevin McCarthy. Their minority leader voted no. The vice president's brother, Greg Pence, didn't vote at all. But other than that, we passed it, and we're going to pursue it because we have to. Because we have to hold responsible people who tried to undo the democracy in our country. And were the kind of violence that we saw, that and we're going to continue to do that. We have Liz Cheney, we have Adam Kinzinger on that committee who voted, of course, to also in support of making sure that we enforce the subpoena. So onward and upward to make sure that we aren't going to let this just go. In the meantime, I want to talk to you in a very positive way about the Building Back Better. I've talked to you, I think, about my frustration with the media, none of the pundits who have ever passed a bill in their lives, this is a crisis and Democrats are in disarray. That is not true. What you're looking at, this is what democracy looks like. This is what the legislative process looks like. These are negotiations that are going on, and we're going to end up, and I think we'll hear an announcement next week, with a bill that, no one will be thrilled with, but lots of people will get. The majority of Americans will see transformative help for them and for our community. So I'm really looking forward to that. We are, as I said, we're not going to get everything we want. We certainly want community college to be more affordable. That's not likely to be in there. And the president, in the town hall meeting that he had last night, because his wife Jill, of course, works for a community college, says, fortunately, there are a lot of bedrooms in the White House. So he may have to sleep in one other for a while. But we're going to get there to make college more affordable. But what is important to know, that we are going to get 2 years of universal pre-K. The president has said, let's face it, when we're talking about education, those early years are so incredibly important. And as the mother of a preschool pre-K teacher, my daughter teaches in Evanston, that we absolutely need to do that, and we're going to do that. We are going to see on childcare huge investments in childcare, and the great news is that the maximum that anyone will pay in a family for childcare is 7% of income. And if you happen to be below the poverty level, you will pay nothing for childcare. And one of the things that's so great about that is that means that a lot of women in particular will be able to go back to work. The reason that so many women have left the workforce or have just been out of the workforce for a while is because the lack of child care support. And this is going to be in the bill. This is a game changer for many, many families. It's huge. And we're going to see a real big investment in the environment, in the climate crisis. Now, we know that some of the things that Joe Manchin has been against won't be in the bill, but that will be made up for by a lot of other investments that are going to make us keep our commitment as the United States of America to make sure that we meet our goals in terms of the ending some of the carbon emissions as we have promised. And the president, who is going to an international climate agreement event coming up, I think in a week or two, and is it next week? Next week, wants to be able to go there and say, we will be on track to keep our promise, and the rest of the world has to do it as well. We're going to see in the home and community-based care, we're not going to get as much as the president wanted, as much as we wanted, the people who are working so hard on elder care, but we're going to get Medicaid, home and community-based care. We're going to get a start on that finally. And so we are definitely going to see some transformative changes for United States families. We're going to get family leave, family and healthcare leave for workers. So, watch for that. Watch for the good news that is going to be important instead of all of the whining that you hear from people who really don't know what they're talking about. And I look forward to that. On the care economy, I went down to the floor of the House. The Democratic Women's Caucus had a what we call is a special order, an hour, speaking about the care economy, child care, elder care, and I talked about how I have been working on this since the 80s when I was head of the Illinois State Council of Senior Citizens, and it's about time that we make some real progress. There's a bill that was introduced on the gig economy workers, those people who are considered private contractors, and the bill is called The Gig is Up. My good friend and colleague, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman, has introduced the legislation, and we want to make sure that people get paid as employees as opposed to contract workers. And remember, if you are one of these gig economy workers and you decide not to pay into Social Security, when your time comes to hopefully get Social Security, those salaries will not, that income will not be counted in your contribution to Social Security. So that's one of the things that can be a problem for gig workers. And we want to make sure that those workers who are doing often very essential jobs, that we make sure that they're considered as employees and getting the benefits that they deserve as an employee. The Equal Rights Amendment actually had a hearing this week in the Oversight Committee in the House of Representatives, the first hearing in 4 decades on the Equal Rights Amendment. Of course, I'm a huge supporter, and we now have the number of states in the United States of America that we need, if only we can get that date changed to say that it does have to be considered as an amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Isn't it about time? We had a hearing on the Postal Service this last week, a very important hearing. I was able to talk about my 9th Congressional District and the problems that we've been having in only a couple really, of the post offices that have really been in trouble, mostly in Edgewater and in Rogers Park, and people who haven't gotten their mail, their medications, their packages for a long time. And the representative of the union was saying, The Postal Service in the district in Illinois has to first recognize that there really is a problem and make sure that we can resolve it. But I think the bottom line for many of those who are in the Congress and who testified, that Louis DeJoy, who is the Postmaster General, time for him to find a different job. Time for him to move on, and that we get a new appointment as the Postmaster General in the United States of America. It is the most beloved agency of government. 90% of Americans appreciate the Postal Service, but we have to make sure that it is fully supported and gets the leadership that it needs. Tony, my letter carrier, love him. So also wanted to talk to you about the Freedom to Vote Act, which Joe Manchin supports, and we all support in the Senate, and hopefully becomes the law of the land, that makes sure that people, regardless of where they live, has not only the freedom to vote, the right to vote in our country. So Joe had his bill called for a vote. And I don't know that you'll be surprised, and I don't know if Joe himself was surprised. Not a single Republican voted for that. Not a single Republican voted for the Freedom to Vote Act in the United States of America. They are still engaged all over the country. Actually, 48 states have introduced bills that are not good. Illinois is not one of them. And a number of bills have passed that would actually limit the right to vote. Stacey Abrams, who I saw on television last night, was talking about some of the terrible things that restrict the right to vote in so many states around the country. So, as a consequence, we need to consider doing something about the filibuster, hopefully having some sort of a carve out. And in the town hall meeting that Joe Biden had on CNN last night, which was so incredible, he said that we have to consider fundamentally altering the filibuster. And I'm hoping that Joe Manchin, this is his legislation, will support that. And if he does, and we get Kyrsten Sinema to agree as well, we can actually pass this fundamental to our democracy legislation and make it the law. Latina Equity Pay Day just happened this week. Do you know that for Latinas to earn as much as the average white man in this country, she had to work another year and a half in order to get there. So the issue of equity payment is so incredibly important right now. And so we have to fight for equal pay for equal work. There was a battle at the university, at Northwestern University, for the food service workers. The union, Unite Here Local 1. And by the way, in Illinois, in Chicago, there are more Local 1 unions than in any city in the country. And that is absolutely huge because we are a union town, and for longer than really any other city in the country. And that's why we have so many local ones. So here's what happened. The food service workers of Local 1, Unite Here, Local 1, voted to go on strike, but they managed to get a contract. And one of the workers, Latina, was quoted, that was the best quote I have ever seen. She said, "Yesterday, I made $16.05, and today I make $19.80." That's a game changer. That is a game changer. And this is what unions can do, and this is what workers are fighting to do, not just to go back to, now that people are going back to work, not to go back to that lousy job that didn't pay a living wage. They had to have at least 2, maybe 3 jobs, no benefits. And now more workers, that's why there's a lot of jobs still waiting out there. And I say to employers, there's an easy solution. Pay a living wage. And people will come to work. People want to work. They're not staying home because they are too lazy to go to work. They don't want to have to work at a job where they still can't take care of their families and don't have any benefits. Finally, on the coronavirus, still in the United States of America, so many people have died. What is it now? Over 600,000 people. I don't know what the exact number is. In the United States of America have died. We have reduced the numbers of people who are getting sick, getting the virus, although it was a great loss, I think, to see that Colin Powell died of complications from the coronavirus. He was sick. And, while, we can say we disagreed on some things about the war, this was an American hero who at the end of the day did endorse Barack Obama for president of the United States. He was a very courageous man. So, people are still dying, mostly, unfortunately, unvaccinated people. So everybody still needs to get vaccinated. Boosters are now available for all of the vaccines, and you can even do a mix and match if you, want to get a different vaccine. You can do that now. And we are moving toward children starting at age 5. We're close to having approved vaccines for children 5 to 11. Of course, we know that children 11 and above are already able to get vaccines. The Illinois Public Health officials report 2,146 new cases in the COVID-19 and 36 related deaths on Thursday. We still have a way to go, and I am still pushing for more international vaccination. Was able to talk directly face to face with Jeffrey Zients, who is the corona czar, the COVID czar, he agreed that we have to do more to get people internationally vaccinated because the virus anywhere is a danger to us everywhere. So we keep moving ahead. So it's getting cooler in the Chicago area, in our district, so stay warm, stay healthy, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.